Hey guys, welcome back to our next tutorial. Now this one's going to be a fun one because we're going to do something interesting and something new that we haven't done before. But before we do get started into that, what I want to do is refamiliarize you with a program that we wrote earlier. I've modified it slightly, but for the most part it does the same thing. What it does is it converts pounds to kilograms and it converts kilograms to pounds. We've done this before. Difference being is I'm going to say write kilogram or write pound. And then once you make the right selection, it'll do the calculation and return your weight back in whatever you want to convert it in. So let's run this and I'll show you what it looks like. So if I want to convert from pounds to kilograms, I just type in kilogram and then enter your weight in pounds. So let's just say 200 and it'll say your weight in kilograms is 90. Let's run it the other way around. Let's say pound and enter your weight in kilograms. It's 90. So it's roughly 200 pounds. So the program does what we want it to do. But what if I told you we should take this to the next level and actually incorporate voice recognition now? So instead of me actually having to go and type in kilogram or pound, I want to be able to say it. And rather than me typing in my weight, I want to be able to say it. So let's make that happen right now. So before we do get into that, I do want to show you that you're going to need to install something called speech recognition. So this is just another module that Python will take. I will link this in the description for you guys, but it's as simple as installing pip install speech recognition. Now, if you are going to be using a mic, which we are going to be using, there's a few other things you need to install, but all of those instructions are down here. So it says Pi Audio for mic users. Just follow this for your operating system and you should be all good to go. And I will link this, like I said, in the description. So let's go ahead and import that first. So if I were to go here, let's make this big again. All this nice and big so we can see it. I'm going to go ahead and import speech recognition as SR. Now, I would just use this exact line for line because SR is commonly used on the internet for this particular module. So it's something that you should just adopt because it's going to be easier to port your code over or use somebody else's code. Then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and define an instance of speech recognition. So that's going to be R is equal to SR dot recognizer. And all I'm saying is there's going to be a function or a method within this that I'm going to be initializing and calling that equal to R. The other thing I want to do is I also want to initialize the microphone. So to do that, we're going to take sr.microphone. And then you're going to say with mic, which is this line up here, as source. Source is what you're going to be using to input your voice. So it could be an external microphone, it could be a built-in microphone, it could be whatever it is. But you want to define this up front here and you want to say that mic is going to be your source that you're going to be using. Then you're going to say audio is equal to r.listen. And then what you're telling it is that, hey, listen, when you go ahead and listen to it, listen to the source, which in this case is our microphone. And you're going to go ahead and say my text is equal to r. Now, this recognizer comes with many built-in different type of recognition engines, we'll call it. So you can use what Bing uses, what Google uses, what Google Cloud uses. Now, some of these are going to require an API and possibly fees. I haven't tried some of these. IBM, I believe that's Watson. Sphinx is free. Wit, I have not tried yet, but I generally stick with Google. It's free. I've tried Google and Bing. They're both free, but Google does a pretty good job. And in this, we're going to pass the source or the argument audio. So we're basically saying after you've listened to what I have to say, store that in audio, and then, hey, Google, go ahead and convert whatever you heard in terms of voice into audio, convert that into text, and store that into something called my text. So we're going to change the code here a bit. Now we're going to say, because I'm not going to be writing anymore. And now we have first input is equal to, so this is where we're going to select the option. And I've lowered it on purpose just in case I typed in, capital K or something like that. But now what we're going to do is we're going to switch this up and we're going to say, we actually want you to capture this first input from the microphone. But the other thing we're going to capture from the microphone is also going to be whatever weight I put in. And so I don't want to define that twice. So it just makes sense for me to take all of this, indent it, and create a function out of it. And I'll call it voice input. I don't need to pass anything. What it's going to do is it's actually going to return my text. And if some of this is unfamiliar to you guys, I've covered a lot of this quite in depth in some of my previous tutorials. Make sure you start from lesson number 1 if you're an absolute newbie. This will eventually make sense to you, but you need to start from the beginning, otherwise you may be a little lost. So now we're going to say first input is going to be equal to voice input.lower. So generally speaking, I don't need to put the lower. It should already track it in lowercase, but for whatever reason, if it does, at least we've covered ourselves off here. And we've said whatever I say here, just lowercase everything. And what I want to do is I want to print that here. I just want to make sure that it's giving me the right input. Okay? So the next thing is if the first input is equal to kilograms, so if that's what I actually say, I want to say then I want it to tell me, hey, listen, you've actually selected pounds to kilograms so that I know that it's picking the right thing. Now here's a second area where we want to go ahead and use the voice input to capture what we want to do in pounds. So we'll say here, say your weight in pounds. And I will keep it as an int as well, but I'll get rid of all of this and I'll say voice input. So what I'm basically saying here is I'm going to say something, whatever it is, convert it into a number. If you're taking it in as a string, convert it into an integer and store it into pounds. Then do the math for me, and then go ahead and spit out the answer. And we're going to do the same thing down here. And you know me, I love to copy and paste, so we're going to do this. Say your weight in kilograms. Kilograms is equal to, and then we're going to say voice input here. And I think we should be done. I'm just checking to see for looking through the code to make sure I haven't missed anything. The other thing that actually now that I'm thinking about is I want to add here is I want to confirm what the system actually think I said. So we'll say F, you said, and all this does is confirm to me that it actually understood what I said. And something is going wrong here. Oh, that's right. And so I'll do the same thing up here. All right, let's give this a shot. So I'm going to run it. If I run into an error, we'll fix it. Let's see what it does. And right there, see? You always got to go back and check your code every now and then. Kilogram. 210. Alright, so it actually worked. So what it'll do is when it actually takes in the audio source, when it listens to you, it'll listen for something and then it'll listen for silence. And that's when it knows that it should stop. So if you noticed, after I said something, it took a few seconds for it to actually realize, okay, there's nothing said after that, so now I'm actually going to stop, take that information, use the Google Recognizer to convert it into text. So let's try the other way around. Let's say pound. Pound. 95. So there you go. Now it takes your weight and converts it from kilograms to pounds. I'm 209 pounds. And so that's really how easy it is to actually start implementing voice recognition. And I mean, maybe in a different tutorial, not in this Python beginners course, but maybe in a different video, I'm actually going to show you how to use text-to-speech. So it will actually say all of this stuff back to you rather than you actually having to read it. And so this way, I actually don't need to interact with a screen at all. I can just use my voice for the entire interaction. And, you know, all of this is the basics. This is the kind of stuff that, you know, Alexa, Google Home, Siri, this is the kind of voice recognition tools that they're using. And if you can imagine, some other use cases where we've actually used this is when we generate reports within businesses. So rather than typing in a whole bunch of stuff, you can say things like, print the sales report, and it'll print the sales report for you. And there's a whole bunch of other options you can add in there, whether that be email, whether that be texting the report, whether it be zipping a file and archiving it somewhere. There's so many cool things you can do with Python, and this is just the beginning. And so that's the other thing I want to talk about in this video, and that is sources. So, you know, we talked about PyPy before, so py.pi.org, and they have a lot of cool different types of things that you can search, many types of modules. So even if I did, you know, TTS for text to speech. There's a whole bunch of stuff that comes, and you can read about it. There's examples of how to use it and this, that, and the other. So it's a great source. But to give you guys some confidence, I also want to tell you that experienced coders go through what we call code writer's block on a daily basis. I'm not sure that I've actually met a coder who can, from start to finish, code everything, get all the syntax right, get all the functions right, get all the definitions right on the first go. There are many sources online that an experienced coder would go through. One of them, which is my favorite, and I live on this website, it's called Stack Overflow. And Stack Overflow is a great area where developers can come and ask questions on, how do you do certain things? So for example, let's just say how to use speech recognition in Python or something like that. And whenever you type this kind of stuff, Stack Overflow is, for the most part, it's up on the top somewhere. There you go. I found it right here. And I mean, every developer will come in here and they'll have different, things that you can use or different ways that you can use it, but they will actually help you through your code. You can, upload your code and they will help debug it for you. They'll help you say, all right, maybe you want to try this. If you have a code that's inefficient today, they can help you with that. So if you think by any means that, this isn't for you or this is going to be too tough, you can't get this done the first time, don't think that way, because there's nobody that I've met, at least in my career, and not only have I been in the trenches running some of this stuff, but today I lead some major teams, including executives who run individual teams as well. And all of those guys today use Stack Overflow on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, most of them are on Stack Overflow at least on a daily basis. Another really good source is GitHub. And what GitHub is, it's a place where you can go in and start storing either you can store some of your code, or you can look at what other people have coded. So if I wanted to look up an application, for example, on how to do something, if Stack Overflow doesn't have it, GitHub may already have a solution that's developed and ready to use. And it's open source. You can go ahead and use the code as you wish. You can freely, modify it, do whatever you want with it. And it's another great area where you don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. If something already exists and it works, just use it in your code. Make sure you understand what you're using, but just use it in your code. Why recode it? Especially if it's something that's working very well. So these are two very big sources that I use on a daily basis. I want to make sure that you guys stay encouraged and don't get discouraged by complicated code or anything of that matter. Now, as we delve into future videos, I'm going to be getting more and more technical, but not with the programming side now. I think this beginner's course or tutorial was enough for you guys to get your hands and feet wet. What I really want to focus now is on how do you actually use coding, but more importantly, how do you create models with coding to solve real-world business problems. So we're going to do that in some of our upcoming videos. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, guys. If you do, please like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.